Today we're going to be experimenting here on MLB the Show 25 franchise mode, trying to see which specific attributes matter the most in simulation. I was inspired as I was working on the White Sox franchise offseason episode, which will be up tomorrow by the way, as I was fixing my ratings based on player performance. Adrian Del Castillo, one of the best examples of this. He had a ridiculous year with the Diamondbacks, WAR above 6, first-time All-Star, he was fantastic. Gabriel Moreno was the starting catcher going into the year, but he got injured, and by the time he came back, he lost the job. He was nowhere near as good as Del Castillo, and his ratings thus ended up going down. So that kind of made me question which specific ratings matter the most in franchise mode. So that's what we're going to try to figure out in today's video. It doesn't really matter which team we use for today's episode. I figured I would just land on the Cleveland Guardians because they are right towards the middle of the pack in terms of their team ranking, currently slotted at number 16. But they're not going to stay number 16 for too much longer because we're going to be editing every single player on the roster to really figure out which ratings actually matter. So the Cleveland Guardians, as we know them, are about to go away. And now they're the second ranked team in the game. We ended up making them a lot better. But let's meet the entirely new look team. As you can see, everyone here is quite a bit different. Steven Kwan, 99 across the board, but 0 power. We're going to see how much that loss of power hurts him. Brian Rocchio, 0s across the board in terms of his offense, except for plate skills. We're going to see how much plate vision and plate discipline matter compared to not being able to hit the ball otherwise. Jose Ramirez, 99 across the board, but his durability rating is a 0. I've been told durability has less to do with injuries and more to do with overall energy. Injuries are off for today's video because I feel like having them on would defeat the purpose. So we're going to see what having 0 durability is going to do to his play. Gabriel Arias is 99 across the board, but he has a 0 clutch rating, which is a player's contact when there are runners in scoring position. We're going to see how much clutch actually matters. Bo Naylor, great on offense, cannot play defense, and it's especially interesting since he's a catcher. Can't really be a good catcher without defense, hence why he's an 83 overall. Austin Hedges, meanwhile, is the opposite. No offense, all defense, so basically the real-life version of Austin Hedges. Travis Bazzana has 0 speed, 0 steal, 0 base running aggressiveness. He cannot run, but he can do everything else. Kyle Manzardo, 99 across the board, but no plate skills. How much do those matter? Tyler Freeman is a demon against right-handed pitching, but horrible against lefties. Lane Thomas is the opposite. Great against lefties, sucks against righties. We'll save Jhonkensy Noel for the end. He's one of my favorites. Will Brennan, Mr. Mid, completely average across the board. And then David Fry, great power, great clutch, but 0 contact and plate skills. That's going to be a really interesting one. And then Jhonkensy Noel is a little bit of everything. Great contact against righties, but no power. Great power against lefties, but no contact. Great vision, but no plate discipline. Good fielding, but no reaction. Great arm strength, but who knows where the ball is going. He's super fast, but he can't steal bases for whatever reason. As for the pitching, Gavin Williams leads the rotation. He's a 99 along with Tanner Bybee. The problem with Williams is that he doesn't throw hard, and he has no movement on his pitches. But otherwise, he's really good. Tanner Bybee, 99 across the board. He's a stud, but he has 0 stamina. I'm really curious about this one to see how much stamina matters for a starting pitcher. John Means and Shane Bieber are very similar, but I'm testing which per nines matter more. For Means, his hits per 9 and his walks per 9 are 99. Ks and home runs per 9 are 0. And for Bieber, it's the opposite. I've always believed that hits per 9 and walks per 9 are the 2 most important pitching stats in this game. So even though Means and Bieber are only 2 overall ratings apart, I think John Means is going to end up being a lot better than Shane Bieber. As for Ben Lively, he's the Jhonkensy Noel of the pitching staff. A mishmash of everything. Great hits per 9, bad walks per 9. Great strikeouts per 9, bad home runs per 9. He throws gas, but his pitches have no movement. But he does have great control. As for the bullpen, the one I'm most excited about is Hunter Gaddis. 99 across the board. There's no catch. He is 99 everywhere. But he has the strangest group of pitches imaginable. Knuckleball, Vulcan change, and palm ball. We're going to see if you can succeed with that 3-pitch repertoire. Gaddis has a couple of his own disciples here as well with Trevor Stephan and Sam Hentges, both of them at the exact same pitches. Stephan, 99 per nines, but he does not throw hard, his pitches barely have movement, and he has no control. Hentges is the opposite. His pitches have nasty stuff, they're super fast, his per nines are on the floor. I ended up moving his stamina up so he actually plays. He goes from a 7 to 11. I guess that per nines matter more than how hard you throw it because Stephan is still a 99, whereas Hentges is an 11. As for Cade Smith, 99 across the board, but you have no clue where his pitches are going. 0 control, 0 walks per 9, but the rest looks really good. As for Joey Cantillo, he's the Will Brennan of the rotation. Mr. Mid. Completely average across the board. Emmanuel Clase is the same Emmanuel Clase as real life. The problem is it's the version of him that allowed the 3-run homer in the playoffs to carry Carpenter. Really good, but no clutch rating, and his home runs per 9 is really low. He's a good pitcher, but when the moment is big, he folds. It's time for Paul Sewald to pitch. Kind of like Ben Lively, he's all over the place. He's sort of a mix of everything. And then last but not least, we have Tim Herron, who's only an 18 overall. Another player who has no per nines, but throws gas and has nasty movement. So now that we've met the team, it's time to see how good they end up being. Since we're the second highest ranked roster in the game, I expect this team to ultimately be pretty good. Our team is ranked in the top 10 in every major team statistical category, and at the All-Star break, we're 64-30. So the team, in fact, is really good. Going into the Home Run Derby, we only have one participant, but he has 40 home runs, and that's Travis Bazzana. 99 everywhere, but no speed, and clearly the loss of speed has not hurt him. No stolen bases, but otherwise he's been dominant. He has an 8-WAR season. His offensive numbers are insane. Let's take a look at the guys we ended up getting in the All-Star game. Believe it or not, we only ended up with one pitcher, that being Trevor Stephan, who is 99 per nines. He does not throw hard, he does not have good movement, and he has a knuckleball, a Vulcan change, and a palm ball. Behind the plate, Bo Naylor, our 99 offense catcher. His numbers actually are not that impressive for a 99 across the board. I mean, sure, they're good, and his defense really hasn't been that bad for having a 0 fielding rating, but I kind of expected more. Kyle Manzardo, no plate skills, but otherwise really good. The walk-to-strikeout ratio is abysmal, not entirely different to what he did last year, but otherwise he's been really good. Travis Bazzana, of course, made it. We talked about him earlier. Gabriel Arias is here as well. His numbers are a little bit lower than some of the other guys. I guess the clutch rating does matter a little bit, but compared to some of the other ones, it's not that big of a deal. Jose Ramirez, much like real life, has probably been our team's best player. The only problem is he's only played around half the games. Otherwise, his numbers are absurd. He's hitting 394, OPS nearing 1,300, 6.7 WAR playing half the games. So the durability rating matters, but he has been ridiculous. Steven Kwan, 1 home run, but otherwise he's been awesome with an average nearing 400, on base nearing 500, and his WAR is still really high, despite the fact that he has no power. Let's simulate to the end of the season now, as ultimately the team ends up winning 100 games, actually 102 to be exact, good enough for the number 1 seed in the American League. So as expected, the team ended up being quite good. We are now the number 1 ranked team in the game, winning the AL Central by 17 games. As you can see on the top left, our team OPS was really high, but our team ERA was also really high, so the pitching seems to have been a weak link. Steven Kwan had a terrific year. He only homered twice, but otherwise he was fantastic. Great walk-to-strikeout ratio. He only hit 354. The average went down as the year went along, as did the OPS. But, I mean, this is still a really good season. His WAR was above 10. That's pretty darn good. Jose Ramirez was also fantastic. Problem is he only played 100 games, so we were without him for a large chunk of the year. But his WAR was above 10 and his OPS was above 1,200. Travis Bazzana, statistically, was our most complete player. He actually did steal a base the second half of the year. 53 homers, hit 333. The average is lower than some of the other guys, probably because he had less infield singles, because, you know, he's slow as hell. But otherwise, he was very good. Bo Naylor's offensive numbers stayed around the same. I mean, 46 home runs is awesome. 10 WAR is awesome. But I still kind of expected a little bit more at the plate. But likewise, his defense was way better than I expected. And then Austin Hedges was, well, Austin Hedges. Pretty much the same guy he is in real life. Gabriel Arias, His average was a little bit lower than some of the other guys. Again, probably because of the at-bats where runners were in scoring position. His contact goes from 99 to 0. Kyle Manzardo had a strong season. His average was also kind of lower, probably because, for one thing, he swung you to miss a lot, and he swung you to a lot of bad pitches, which probably made it easier for pitchers to throw to him. But when he did hit the ball, he hit it really well, and his WAR probably would have been higher if he was playing a position other than first base. Between Tyler Freeman and Lane Thomas, Freeman was unsurprisingly better because there are more right-handed pitchers in this game than lefties. It makes sense that Freeman's a 91 and Thomas is only a 79, given that stats against righties should matter more. I'm really curious about both of their split stats, though, comparing them to what they do versus righties and lefties. Freeman only hit 295 against righties. Kind of thought it'd be higher, but he hit 114 against lefties. Not sure why Lane Thomas got so many at-bats against righties, but he hit 175 and only 261 against lefties. I would have expected both of those guys to do better against their specialized sides of the plate. Jhonkensy Noel ended up carving out a nice role for himself. He only hit 5 homers. I would have thought with the power versus lefties at 99 that would be higher. But overall, he was a pretty productive player. Against righties, he hit 1 homer, but he did hit 287. Against lefties, 164. But he did have 4 homers. Back during the All-Star break, though, he was hitting 290 against lefties. I don't know how that's possible, considering his contact versus lefties was a 0. Brian Rocchio could not hit the ball at all. Now, he did give us some offensive value with his 99 plate vision and plate discipline. Great walk-to-strikeout ratio. Add that with elite Gold Glove defense at shortstop, and he was actually a net positive for us with a WAR above 2, even though he could not hit the ball whatsoever. As for the bench, we already talked about a couple of these guys already, but Will Brennan, Mr. Mid, ended up being extremely mid, as you would expect. He had 229, only 1 home run, but he was very good defensively, interestingly enough, with no errors. David Fry might have been the biggest surprise. I thought he was going to be way better. I get he had 0 contact, but there was no power from him. He only had 8 home runs and 265 at-bats, even though his power ratings were 99. So this kind of tells me that obviously power is important, but you need other ratings, such as plate skills and contact, to complement the power. Otherwise, it's not going to be very useful. In terms of the leaders across the league, Stephen Kwan won the batting title. He was the hits king. He led in doubles. Kyle Manzardo close behind. In terms of triples, we had a lot of speedsters, Manzardo, Arias, and J-Ram towards the top. I wonder where Travis Bazzana is. Wink, wink. He ended up leading, though, in home runs with Bo Naylor close behind. Jose Ramirez probably would have led in a lot of these, average statistics, such as batting average, on base, OPS, slugging. The problem is he didn't qualify. He didn't have enough at-bats because he did not play enough games. Gabriel Arias leading the way in runs and having more runs than RBIs definitely makes sense, given that, well, he's not supposed to be very good at driving guys in. Kwan had 70 stolen bases. Nobody touched that. Kwan also led the way in terms of walks, so he ended up being an absurdly good player even without the power. He got on base at a ridiculously high level. Believe it or not, though, we did not have the slugging leader. That was Yoran Alvarez. We did have second, third, and fourth. Bazzana first in OPS with 3 of the top 4, and Bazzana led in batting WAR with nearly 12. We ended up with the top 5, J-Ram in second, Kwan in third. Let's take a look at some of the awards that our position players won. We did not get the MVP, at least with a position player. Bazzana ended up in second. Stephen Kwan won the batting title. Would have been J-Ram, but he didn't play enough. Bazzana wins the Rookie of the Year and the Hank Aaron Award. We had a number of guys win Gold Gloves, and we had a number of guys win Silver Sluggers as well, which was to be expected. The strength of this team definitely ended up being the offense and the lineup. Even with some of the weak links we had in there, the star power was too much to overcome. And given how good our offense was, I'm honestly kind of surprised we only won 102 games, but you'll see why that was in a second. Our team ended up finishing barely in first for batting average. The Diamondbacks and the Dodgers were close behind. We finished first in runs by a landslide, first in hits, not by that much. We led in doubles. We led in triples fairly comfortably. The Brewers were the only team close. We led in homers by a lot. We led in RBIs by a lot. We led in stolen bases by a lot. We led in stolen base percentage by a lot. We led in walks by a lot. We were only 9th in terms of the least amount of strikeouts, but we were first in slugging, first in on base, and obviously first in OPS. We had the least amount of double plays. I find it interesting that Gabriel Arias had the least, even though he's not good as a clutch hitter. Good for him, I guess. Since we had a lot of really good defensive players, we were also the best defensive team. Least amount of errors and the very best winning percentage. So again, it's clear that the strength of this team was the offense. And to answer the question of which ratings are the most important, I think we saw that speed doesn't matter that much. Obviously, if Bazzano was faster, it would have helped his average and his on base, given him more extra base hits. But he was our best player. Compared to contact and power, I think it's pretty clear contact matters more. Steven Kwan and David Fry are the same overall ratings, but Kwan's ERA was at 10 and Fry's was negative. So I think contact and plate skills are the ones that matter the most, and then power and speed a little bit less than. As for the pitching, Gavin Williams does not throw hard, his pitches do not have movement, and it does not matter. He was unbelievable this year. 275 strikeouts, WAR around 8. He was great. Tanner Bybee was not great though. That 0, or I guess now 1 stamina rating came back to hurt him. It seems like he was really inconsistent. He had a few games where he was lights out, and then some games where he was really, really bad. So what I noticed is that he allowed a lot of home runs. The walks are great, the strikeouts are great, the hits are great, but he allowed a lot of home runs and he struggled when guys were on base. He was still solid overall, but he could have been better. John Means versus Shane Bieber was not even close. As I expected, John Means was far and away better. 225 innings pitched, low strikeouts. He did allow his fair share of homers, but not a lot of hits, not a lot of walks. That gave him a low whip. And he didn't allow runs. You're not going to allow runs if you don't let up base runners in the first place. Shane Bieber's the opposite. He allowed a lot of base runners, and even though he struck out 248 batters, he still ended up allowing a lot of runs because he let guys on base. Now, strikeouts really matter for WAR in this game, so Bieber only had around 1 WAR lower than John Means. But if you care about run prevention as the most important thing for a pitcher, which I think anyone with a brain would, obviously John Means is far better than Shane Bieber. Ben Lively, who was all over the place, he did not have a good season whatsoever. He allowed a ton of walks, he had a ton of strikeouts, but he was not a very valuable player. He allowed a lot of home runs as well. Hunter Gaddis was kind of disappointing. For being a 99 across the board, I mean, he wasn't bad. He was quite good. But, I don't know. I expected more out of him. I don't think it's necessarily because of his unique pitches, though, because Trevor Stephan, who had the same pitches, was unbelievably good. He was better than Gaddis, even though he doesn't throw hard, and his pitches don't have anywhere near the amount of movement that Gaddis's does. But he ended up throwing 180 innings. He went 15-0, 213 strikeouts, 5.2 WAR. He was arguably our best pitcher. And then Sam Henches, a 13 overall, low per nines, throws really hard. He sucked. So as you can tell by the overall ratings, per nine stats really matter for pitchers. How hard they throw and how nasty their stuff is does not really matter. Cade Smith, his control ended up being a problem. He only played in 9 games, interestingly enough, but he wasn't very good. He only allowed 17 walks, though, which is bad for 20 innings, but it's not as bad as I would have expected. So it seems like control does matter because clearly it impacted his pitching. Joey Cantillo, Mr. Mid, ended up being quite mid. Emmanuel Clase, low whip, but a higher ERA, which is what I expected with the low home runs per 9 rating. That obviously can clear the bases, and a low clutch rating. It seems like when he allows multiple base runners, that's where the problems arise. But he also has some really good innings in there where he shoves the door. Paul Sewald, it is time for him to pitch. He was not great. Walks per 9 certainly matters, but it's not everything. He had a very high walks per 9 rating, and it did not lead to him being good. Tim Herron, 22 overall. He short played like it. His per 9s were really bad, and it reflected in his play. He was a little bit better, I guess, than the 11 overall, but he still really struggled. In terms of leaders across the AL, Gavin Williams and John Means led in wins. Trevor Stephan, 15-0. 0 losses. Undefeated. Never lost. Gaddis only tied for 5th in saves, but we had 3 of the top 5 in ERA, with Trevor Stephan leading that by far. He was high on the home runs allowed list. None of our starters were that high, though. Gavin Williams led in shutouts. He led in strikeouts by a lot. There's Shane Bieber in second. Gavin Williams had more complete games than just about every team. He led in innings. Trevor Stephan was last in terms of walks allowed. Gavin Williams and John Means were not higher only because they threw so many innings. And then Williams led in pitching WAR by far. There's Trevor Stephan. Nobody else really all that close, again, including John Means. Strikeout leads to higher WAR, but it doesn't lead to a lower ERA and a lower WHIP. So Gavin Williams won the MVP and the Cy Young. Trevor Stephan ended up coming in second. But with all the bad pitchers we had, our pitching stats as a team were not great. 28th in ERA, even with some of the best pitchers in the league. Now, we led in complete games. Again, Gavin Williams had more than just about every team. We were middle of the pack in hits allowed, towards the bottom in home runs allowed, towards the bottom in walks allowed. We led in strikeouts, though, which I guess kind of makes sense. But we were tied for 24th in runs allowed and dead last in earned runs because our defense was that good. So to answer the question, as I always have believed, hits per nine and walks per nine are by far the two most important per nines. Even though Means and Bieber were kind of close in WAR, their numbers obviously were not close at all. In terms of per nines versus velocity and break, I think we have a clear winner there as well. Comparing Trevor Stephan versus Sam Hench's, clearly the per nines matter a lot more than how hard you throw it. One more order of business. Can this team win the World Series? No. We end up losing to the Orioles. I thought this team was going to win it all. In terms of disappointments, Bo Naylor was kind of mid the whole video, it felt like. Kyle Manzardo was disappointing. Tyler Freeman was disappointing. John Means wasn't even all that good. Shout out Tanner Bybee, though. He was fantastic, although he only went 5 innings. Trevor Stephan really struggled. That's a surprise. Sam Hench has also really struggled. That's not a surprise. So even though Trevor Stephan was bad, the guys with the 0 per 9 ratings were worse. The Orioles end up winning the World Series. They defeat the Dodgers in 6. So that's going to wrap up the episode. Let me know what you thought of it down below in the comments. Certainly a little bit different, but I definitely had a lot of fun making this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. And if you have any other unique ideas like this one, please feel free to share them down below in the comments. So that'll wrap this one up. Hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. Peace out.